Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name's Ryan. I'm a former Royal Marines Commando from the United Kingdom, and today is Sunday the 18th, and we've got another update for Ukraine. So hopefully you guys can stick around for the entirety. We've got quite a bit of news to get covered today, so thanks for stopping by, guys. We've had massive amounts of traction on the channel of recent. Looks like you guys like these updates, so all I can say is thank you from me, and yeah, let's just get straight into this one, guys. But before we do, as always, a little bit of admin. Please smash that like button, it really helps. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and yeah, just enjoy the content, guys. As always, I'll try and respond to the comments in the comments bit, but let's just get straight into a deep state map. Day 207, I believe it is. The first area, guys, that we're going to go to is Donetsk. So that is this region here. Right, so if you're thinking, why is this area so important? If we go back just a couple of days to the 16th, 17th, 18th, as far as it goes, we notice that there's not a lot happening there, guys, all right, in terms of ground. Small amounts of one down there, and there's very good reason for that, okay? Now, Russian forces continue to conduct meaningless offensive operations around this area and Bakhmut instead of focusing on defending against Ukrainian counteroffensive that continue to advance. So we quickly go to the northern area here. We see all of this blue. That's where the major counteroffensive is taking place. And Ukraine has been very, very successful indeed, guys. Okay, so why Donetsk? We'll get into it, guys. But it seems that these operations that they're carrying out down there seem to be quite pointless. And as you can see, the ground that they're managing to secure with all the efforts, it's actually quite pointless, and we'll get into that a little bit. But Russian troops continue to attack Bakhmut and various villages near Donetsk city, and it's a city of an emotional significance to pro-war residents of the DNR, but little other importance really. Other than that, the Russians are apparently directing some of the very limited reserves available in Ukraine to these efforts rather than to the vulnerable Russian defense lines hastily thrown up along the Oskil River in eastern Kharkiv Oblast. So we've got the dwindling on numbers anyway, troops, okay? And we're going to flash back and forth from this screen, don't worry, just so you can hear me and watch me speak a little bit. But yeah, we know in the north where they've been handling the counter-offensive, the Oskil River has been quite a prominent place. These fights that, and speaking from my experiences in the Royal Marines, you know, fighting along a main feature such as Oskil Reservoir and the river systems there, you've got little bridges, you've got very specific points of entry and points of exit on these bridge systems and over the river, guys. So the fighting that will take place there will either be nothing or will be really, really hard and aggressive, because you can't half-arse it. You know, if you're going to take the bridge, you've got to go with all your might. You've got to really go with a purpose. You're putting your troops in line. You're getting them rigged up. They're ready to go and do the business. You're not messing about, sending sections here and a few men there. It's all or nothing with these areas. So the fighting along that feature will be quite intense, as we've seen in the news, okay? So instead of sending their reserve units to Donetsk, you'd like to think that Russia would be sending their reserve units to the northern parts of the Oskil River, where the majority of the fighting is taking place. But no, Russia, again, with the bad management, you know, and the bad leadership and all of the rest of it, they're sending what little reserves they have got to Donetsk to fight this, you know, in the eyes of everyone else, rather pointless operations, troops, okay? It's got little significance in the grand scheme of things when you're thinking about what's going on, you know, a couple of 100 kilometers north. Actually, let me measure that. I might be massively off. Boom. What we there? 94 kilometers, sorry. So, yeah, I mean, you'd like to think they'd be focusing their efforts a little bit more wisely, but they're not doing that, and that's good for Ukraine at the end of the day. So, yeah. So the Russians cannot hope to make gains around the Bakhmut and Donetsk city on a large enough scale to derail the Ukrainian counteroffensive, which is happening up north, and it appears to be continuing an almost robotic effort to gain ground in Donetsk Oblast. That seems increasingly divorced from the overall realities of the theatre. And I agree with that completely. If you think about the ground that's been taken there, I mean, have a look at that. What are we talking realistically? We're talking this triangle point here. We're talking like 5-6 kilometers max. And that's in the perimeter, okay? We're talking from point A to point B. You're talking like half a kilometer here, half a kilometer there. And effectively, what is it? What are we looking at here? We're looking at fields. We're looking at fields. We're not looking at anything major. Granted, these areas are quite built up, but, you know, we've got a little town here. It just seems wrong. Seems pointless, guys. I mean, what do they want? Do they want that little bit of land there? That doesn't really seem like a worthy cause when you've got a counter-offensive going on in the north that can effectively, cross the whole war off. It doesn't make any sense to me, troops. Doesn't make any sense to me one bit. So yeah, it looks like, Donetsk is still a bit of a hotspot with regards where Russia wants to focus its majority of its strengths, and it doesn't seem to be working either. So their ideas of, carrying out these small little proxy missions within the Donetsk region is not only proven a bad strategy resource-wise, but it's also proven bad militarily, operationally. They're not gaining any land. Meanwhile, you go to the north, like you say, about 100 kilometers, and although the movement up there is slow, as you can see on the map, it's there's not a lot of land being taken by Ukraine, and that lull in the battle, as we say, is it's not necessarily a bad thing for Ukraine, okay? Because they're also able to resupply themselves. They have got good, effective resupply routes within the region, okay? They've got the morale, they've got momentum on their side. A lull in the battle for them is probably better than a lull in the battle for Russia, because, we need to remember one key thing here. The reason Ukraine managed to take so much land was the momentum they had. And two, remember this, Russians didn't just tactically withdraw. They left all of their kit and equipment in situ and withdrew from that situation and that area of operations. So we've got guys in the Russian military who withdrew 10, 15, 20, 50 kilometers without any of the kit. So don't think that these hard lines, this new front line over the Oskil River, is fortified necessarily with troops, Russian troops who are well kitted out, because some of these guys left the rifles, some of them were leaving mortars, artillery systems, vehicles. They weren't bothered. They left most of their stuff. So putting it into that context, yes, these might be bogged down trying to defend these areas. The only thing going for Russia at this moment in time is the fact that that feature, the Oskil River and Reservoir, is there. Because if it wasn't, I guarantee they would have been pushed back a hell of a lot further. This lull in the battle isn't necessarily a bad thing. Trust me. Now, Russian failures to rush large-scale reinforcements to East Kharkiv and to Luhansk Oblast leave most of Russian-occupied northeastern Ukraine highly vulnerable to continuing Ukrainian counteroffensives. The Russians may have decided not to defend this area, despite Russian President Vladimir Putin repeatedly declaring that the purpose of the special military operation is to liberate Donetsk and Luhansk Oblasts. Prioritizing the defense of Russian gains in southern Ukraine over holding northeastern Ukraine makes strategic sense, since Kherson and I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Zaporizhia Oblast are critical terrain for both Russia and Ukraine. Whereas the sparsely populated agricultural areas in the northeast are much less so. But the continued Russian offensive operations around Bakhmut and Donetsk city, which are using some of Russia's very limited effective combat power at the expense of defending against Ukrainian counteroffensives, might indicate that Russian theatre decision-making remains questionable. Questionable, I say, lightly. the decision making doesn't make any sense at all to me. And we can read what we want online about, well, it's this reason and it's that reason. Look, guys, at the end of the day, we need to stop defending this old school way of Russia doing things and look at it for how it is, guys, all right? They're doing terribly in this region. They're doing terribly with the counteroffensive. This whole region here has been a massive failing for Russia and a massive success for Ukraine. And it's not long until I generally believe that Ukraine is going to get the momentum up again and smash this area out the park as well. Now, Ukrainian forces appear to be expanding positions east of the Oskil River and north of the Donetsk River that could allow them to envelope Russian troops that are holding Lyman. Now, we've seen Lyman is an obvious area that you would like to think that Ukraine would want to pursue for many reasons. One, you've got a southern logistical supply hub there. You've got the main railway line that's running straight through it effectively. It gives you the ability to house your troops safely under hard cover. It enables you to set up defensive positions all over Lyman as well, and also allows you to organize yourself strategically to fight another day. And then once you've got Lyman, you've effectively got this southern region here covered off, which would be nice for Ukraine when you think about where they're going to need to push very, very soon. There's no point, I believe, in fighting small intense fights along this reservoir. These bridge systems here are going to be very, very hard to take. And I think what Ukraine should do is prioritize the south region and the north region of that reservoir, like I mentioned before. And it seems as if they're doing that. I believe in a couple of days, a week or so, Lyman will be a major, major potential counteroffensive area of interest for Ukraine. And I believe it's going to, they're going to push through effectively into this bit here. They've already got troops on the ground there, and they're just probably ready to wait and take over, and that'll push the Russians back even further, guys. Further Ukrainian advances east along the north bank of the Silversky Donetsk River could make Russian positions along Lyman untenable and open to approaches. Open to the approaches to Lysychansk, I think I've pronounced that massively wrong, and ultimately Severodonetsk. The Russian defenders in Lyman still appear to consist in large part bars, which is the Russian Combat Army Reserve. So we've got reservist guys here. The Russians' regular army haven't got the will to fight at this moment in time. So the fact that Lyman, a major area, is predominantly actively defended by, army reserves, that tells a massive story. And over the past few days, we've seen on the news they're recruiting bloody prisoners. Okay, and if they don't listen to orders, they're told they'll get shot and assassinated on site. So yeah, I think Lyman, although it might be heavily populated in terms of who we just have to look at the area. It is going to be a hard place to take, but the fighters who they're going to be up against aren't really going to have too much going for them. I think it probably is more of an easier win for Ukraine than we'd think. But time will tell on that. But yeah, and this area is compromised basically of Russian Combat Army reservists, and the remnants of units badly damaged in Kharkiv Oblast counteroffensive. So most of the guys who went running from this place here, in the Oskil River, and these areas, ended up down here. This is where they've reorganized. So the guys who were running scared ended up reorganizing themselves in Lyman. That tells a massive story as well. Obviously, it's hard cover. They've got buildings to be able to settle in. It's favorable for them. These guys, I don't think, have got the will to fight. And the Russians do not appear to be directing reinforcements from elsewhere in the theatre to these areas. So I think Lyman's next. Personally, I think the counteroffensive is going to push heavily on Lyman. Then they've got pretty much tenure of that southern region of the reservoir area, which is really, really important. So let's get into some key takeaways, guys. This is something that I want to get into on the channel. Instead of just keep doing map reviews, we can talk a little bit about the key takeaways, and you can comment below. So the Russian forces continue to prioritize strategically meaningless offensive operations around Donetsk. I agree with that. I think they should. I'm glad they're not doing it, but they should be focusing on the counteroffense. The fact that they're not tells me that they hope Ukraine runs out of steam, which they're not. Morale is on their side, momentum's on their side. Let the counteroffensive continue, and once they're organised and restocked and fed and ready to go, Ukraine should start pushing hard. 2. Ukraine forces liberated a settlement southwest of Lyman and are likely to continue to expand their positions in the area. Now, Lyman, again, we've been talking about it, I think is the next main big thing. We've talked about the Oskil Reservoir. I think we're going to be able to forget about that for a few days. I think we're going to see a lot more going on in Lyman. Personally, that is where the next big fight is. Third point is Ukrainian forces continue to conduct an interdiction campaign in Kherson Oblast. Fourth point, Russian forces continue to conduct unsuccessful assaults around Bakhmut and the other areas in and around there. Similar to Donetsk, all right? I just think they're looking for a fight, but they haven't got the will to fight, and, you know, they're procrastinating with their efforts now. That's the only way I can describe it. They're procrastinating. That's what they are. Finding something else less meaningful when they know, actually, we should really get our asses into the counteroffensive and try and stop this. But they haven't got it, guys. They haven't got the ability to do it. What else have we got? Ukrainian sources reported extensive partisan attacks on Russian military assets and logistics in southern Oblast. Russian officials continue to undertake crypto mobilization measures to generate forces for Russian war efforts, and Russian authorities are working to place 125 orphaned Ukrainian children from occupied Donetsk Oblast with Russian families. That's a topic that I think we'll have to get into at another time, guys. But yeah, hopefully you enjoy the maps. I think we're going to get into a little bit of footage now of the Ukraine 14th Separate Mechanized Brigade captured. They captured another Russian T-723B2 tank in Kharkiv Oblast. So we're going to get into this just so we can... I think it's just a bit of morale, isn't it? Let's go.
І оркостанський танчик перетворюється в український.
I was thinking I can't hear anything, but me being a Marine, a little bit dense, I didn't have my headphones on.
І брюки превращаються в наш український танчик. Та-дам! Слава Україні! Героям слава!
Okay, so a little bit of footage there to finish off on, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this update. It is a little bit longer than normal. I really do appreciate the traction we've been getting on the channel. So if you can stick around for a few more minutes, I need to explain something. Don't need these on anymore. I've been trying to get in contact with someone, and actually a different person got in contact with me as a result. A person who I also wanted to get in contact with, his name was Operator Starsky. You're familiar with the name. A fantastic YouTuber, one of my favorite YouTubers of all time. I just like listening to his stories about Ukraine. He's got fantastic on-the-ground experience of what's going on over there. So I have a deep and utmost respect for that individual. Thank you for his continued service and efforts. If you want to see me do a podcast/war update in Ukraine with Operator Starsky, everyone go spam his comments. Let him know that I want to do it. He's already been in contact, says he's hopeful, and he think it would be a good idea, guys. So if you want that to happen, let me know in the comments and we'll get it done. Obviously, he'll be restricted with time and stuff to a degree with what he's doing out there, but that's what we want to do. Let me know. And the second person who I want to do a similar thing with is Dennis. All right, Dennis, you know Dennis. If you want me to do an update with Dennis, then do the same thing with him. Let him know, because I've sent him an email. All right, and he hasn't getting back in touch with me. Now, I understand these pilots and stuff, get them, their inboxes is always full with women trying to tell them that, they fancy them and stuff because everyone loves pilots. But he needs to check my email because I want to do a collaboration with him of some sort. So if you want to see that, let him know in his comments so he can get in touch with me, or just look at his emails. And I think that would be pretty cool. But guys, thanks for listening to me ramble for a few minutes after this. I really do appreciate everyone. Share this content far and wide and smash that like button, troops. But I'll see you in the comments. Thank you very much.